Shares in junior explorer Frontier Rare Earths higher today on the release of a preliminary economic assessment for the company's development project in South Africa. Now, the costs for the TSX-listed company to build a rare earths mine in the western part of South Africa will run about $900 million for a 1 million tonne per year operation. For a closer look at this project and production schedule, we're joined by James Kenny, CEO of Frontier Rare Earths. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Andrew.
So you've got this mine in South Africa, and 900 million, you think you can build it?
Yes, I think we'd be quite conservative in the way we've put together our capital expenditure estimates. If you break that number down, it actually breaks down to approximately $500 million for a rare earth separation plant, $100 million for a sulfuric acid plant, and the balance for the mining and related processing infrastructure at the front end.
It's interesting how the big costs in rare earths are the processing, really, aren't they?
I think the single largest cost for us and for those other aspiring entrants into the rare earth market will be the separation plant. Frontier is quite unusual in that we're one of the very few companies who are actually choosing to go right from the mining stage through to the production of separated rare earth oxides, compared to many others who are producing an intermediate mixed rare earth product.
Now, you have a partner. You just signed a deal with the Koreans. That was pretty recent, just at the end of last year. Can you tell us how that works?
Yeah, we're very, very pleased about that. We signed an agreement in December with a group called Korea Resources Corporation, which is wholly owned by the Korean government. And they are the arm of the Korean government who is charged with securing supplies of scarce raw materials for Korean industry. What's encouraging to us is that we are the only rare earth junior who actually has a strategic partner, and in the form of the 7th largest economy in the world, that gives us great encouragement. How it'll work is that they will acquire an initial 10% interest in our mine in South Africa following the publication of this PEA, and then on the publication of our definitive feasibility study, which will be in the second half of next year, they will have an option to acquire an additional 10% of the mine and 10% of Frontier.
Of course, South Africa, never the politically most stable, and you do get violent labour disputes. They've had electricity problems. Presumably investors would be a little wary of a mine in South Africa.
I think, I have to say, like in many situations, what we see on the ground versus what makes it onto the front page of the New York Times or the Globe and Mail is actually quite different. I mean, we're in a country which is 150 years of mining history, huge foreign direct investment, and certainly as far as our experiences as South African go, they've always been very positive. So we don't see any disruption. One point you did make was in relation to power, and perhaps there hasn't been the investment in power infrastructure that there should have been over recent years, but not an impediment to our development in that we have power secured through the national utility for our project.
Now, you have a pretty big deposit. Can you give us an idea of how big it is in world scale, please?
Well, in world scale, I mean, there are only 2 rare earth mines predominantly the 2 rare earth mines in China. There's development in California, which was a former mine, has been mothballed. We have approximately 1 million tons of rare earth oxides above our economic cutoff. So to put that in context for you, Andrew, global demand in 2011 would have been of the order of 110,000 tons. So with the approximately 1 million tons that we have,
10 years global supply.
Of global supply, what we're actually aiming to do is to produce 20,000 tons of separated rare earth oxides commencing in 2015, and at that time we will be looking to secure approximately a 10% global market share. So we have more than a 20-year mine life that we're planning. And so I think the resource is not going to be an impediment to our future development. And
we've only got about 10 seconds, but you have the heavies as well, the crucial heavy rare earths.
We think if we execute our plan, we will be the 2nd largest producer of heavy rare earth oxides outside of China, which positions us very well.
James, we will be watching closely.
Thank you.
James Kenny, fellow Dubliner and CEO of Frontier Rare Earths. Well, just before we go into break, we want to point you to the Dow Jones Index today. It's hitting highs not seen since 2008. Are investors that optimistic about the new Greek debt deal? Well, they're not pessimistic, at least today. Look at that. Look at that move in the blue chip index in the States. Well, coming up, we're going to hear about a potash republic in Congo. That's a lot like the mines in Saskatchewan, but it's shallower. It's not so far down. We're going to hear from the boss of Elemental Minerals when we come back.